I would see all the people pink.
Maybe I could drive a truck and work for the railroads. Because trains and trucks are my favorite vehicles.
I would like it to look pink. If it was snowing, it would be black.
We wake up when it was still dark, drive to the train tracks, drive to the train station and wait for the train. Then when you see a speed train coming, just put your hand out like, ah.
And where would it take you?
To law school. They'll build more law schools first in Hawaii, then here, which is done.
Then they would go to Mexico.
Yep.
In the future, the law school would be wild. We might be learning in outer space.
Put a really huge zip line.
And have a big diving board.
I'd put the zip line from one side to the other side of the school.
But we'll get a time machine so we can transportation ourselves to school. And we won't have any more homework.
I think no homework. And yeah. Cars could fly.
Everything would cost no money, and you could get anything for anything, and you wouldn't need any money to do anything.
More technology, probably.
A lot more buildings.
More products, more, futuristic.
Time machines. Good one.
It could either be the winning revolution for the Earth, or the Earth gets his head chopped off with the pollution.
A lot of the plants and things might die.
But they could still make more seeds. So there could be a lot more seeds. If I can, I'm just going to have to let stuff run on solar panels, no gas to pollute the air, or I'm shutting the thing down.
In 20 years, I'm hoping that the Earth will still have a lot of trees and plants everywhere.
In 20 years, I hope that there will be more fresh air compared from today. Here's one thing that I try to avoid: more homework. Unless I have a robot to do all my homework.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want my robot to do my homework and clean my room. I want to have my own computer that's connected to my robot, so he does my homework and everything, and then he sends it to my computer so I can look at it.
Or you could just let the homework bot do all your homework, everything, literally. Yeah, that's what they should call the robots that do your homework bot.
If we can try to make as much peace around the world as we can and stop war. It's all up to us, and if we don't try to take care of the environment, who knows what'll happen. Maybe it'll just become all sidewalks and pavement. But if we try hard and keep nature preserves up, I think it'll become much nicer if we try. When there's no environment, the whole life cycle of people being born and then dying, and animals and plants, if it stops, we could have to move to another planet, but that's probably in quite a while. Well, my dream would be 30 years from now, or 20 years, I would see, if I had kids, I would see them going to 4th grade and seeing for the first time and saying, what was it like being in the first day of your 4th grade? And I would be really happy just to see what they would think.
I think it would be very beautiful, and the sun would be shining on a big field with birds and crickets, and probably some
fourth graders, I'm guessing, would be walking out into the field and just looking at nature and would start being thankful that it's not polluted as though it could be. That they're looking at wildlife and maybe drawing some pictures in like journals and maybe holding some animals that are okay with being held and just getting really into nature. People would not only have just dogs and cats, but birds would probably land on their hand while still being wild. It could be that we'll find a way to actually communicate with them and say, I'm not going to hurt you in not only English, but in bird language, let's say.
I would want to see me being a pro baseball player. That's pretty much it. And everybody in life getting their way, like fair. Everything fair. Nobody's poor, nobody's hungry every night.
I see myself being famous. Yeah.
People advance a lot. Like how one year it was where we were working with rocks and stones, and this was thousands and millions of years ago. And now, here we are now, we have towns and cities and countries, and we developed ownership and all of that. But it can either go two ways, where the technology is just going to advance more and more, or that or pollution's going to build up. Because there's just been a lot of pollution going on, and not a lot of things have been done to stop it.
In the world, in order to make it a good place, people need to be creative. And if you're not creative, it would be like boring and not and if we didn't have creativity, then the Ross School probably wouldn't be here, because it takes creativity to think of an idea like that, and just, yeah.
I like creativity because if we didn't have creativity, then it's not just that the Ross School wouldn't be here, but basically nothing would be here. But also, creativity sort of has a bad side, because something just doesn't pop up. You have to create it and make it and process it, and it takes time to do that. It's not like it took Miss Ross one day to make the school. It took her years and years to process this idea, and then she made a lower campus.
You move. There?
Yeah.
And there.
Can
I start?
Sure.
Well, grass has been turned into mice.
Which is pink.
Yeah, obviously. And everyone can fly, and no one ever wears shoes because shoes are evil.
Yeah, and they attack people's faces.
And hovercrafts are so last year.
And rocks are able to walk.
Well, duh. Of course they can walk.
And then leaves turn purple and blue and green instead of green and red. And the sky is bright pink and red and blue and green and orange and yellow.
And ninja monkeys rule the world.
Yes.
Well, Ross has become
like the bestest school in the world.
There's like 4,000 of them.
Yes.
Since the waters have risen, will rise a little bit, and it will get a little hotter.
And the
Snow is a distant memory.
and the earth will expand.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Art is important
Because
without art, we'd all be boring.
Everyone's just going to be like emailing or like
texting.
Yeah. For its social reasons, it's pretty bad. Like, people should be going out to dinner with each other or seeing a movie, like to interact and to get to know another human being.
Well, if people keep like polluting the earth and everything, it's going to be a giant wasteland. We already compost in the cafeteria. That's a good thing. We can encourage people to use water bottles more at school.
Yeah, just stop throwing stuff out of their car windows.
People should, maybe if they didn't grow their food, they'd have like a local farm or a market where everybody goes to that general area, and that market is like local food from just around where you live.
Learn to solve more of our problems without violence, rather than we could work it out speaking, and we could just do things on a lot slower basis, not jump to conclusions.
Coexist in the same area without anyone being harmed.
I could definitely see Ross in a place where we have more international students and people coming from all over the world to enjoy the curriculum that we have here.
Ross is a perfect place to express yourself in any way possible, whether it's in writing, whether it's in music or art, or if you're in love with history and traveling, it's a perfect school.
A lot of the kids that are coming actually are from different places that we're studying, and it's nice to, when you're studying about a certain thing. For example, last year when they were studying about Islam, there were 2 Muslim boys that were here at this school, and they actually came in and they gave a speech and talked about what their faith meant to them. So I think with all the different cultures around, it just gives a better example of what the school's universal learning is about.
Do I have to look at the camera? I think so. There will be a cars to get from one building to other building, or kind of subway to the special like class. Bigger, maybe the whole Long Island will be Ross School. Ross School gonna own some planes. The whole world will have one president. The big meteor is coming, but they're taking a very, very big rocket, and they're just like attack the meteor, and like the meteor is going out. The world gonna change so much. Maybe there will be first like 2 years will be World War III. After that, like some aliens gonna come and like save the world. Yeah. My mind went so crazy.
I think that people should have more free will that they do now. I hope that technology will be used in a better way that it is used today, not necessarily under more control, but to the advantage of the fullest to everybody, not just the people who have more money.
That it can be used as a tool for empowering people rather than restricting them from information or keeping them oppressed. I think it can be a really liberating and equalizing tool that I hope to see used well in the next 50 years.
For example, my documentary, the reason I really want to do it is because media is becoming so important. It's going to be a way to teach the younger generations on the reservation about their culture. And it's a good way for the generations who aren't here yet to see their ancestors when they're not here anymore.
I think the Spiral curriculum is definitely an essential to keep in the Ross School, but to develop it more and to make it more personalized for the being who's learning about the places, so they kind of feel like they're into the spiral instead of just looking at the spiral, but more inside of the spiral, being more involved in things. I think the Ross School should expand to a broader community. It's definitely a great way of learning.
Books being eliminated and information just rapidly flowing through every interface.
A new superpower? Cooler phones, definitely cooler phones. Leaps in education. The Ross School will probably expand to other countries. China, maybe India. I really hope India. Colleges, I think it could expand into a college. An educational superpower.
Ross School lets kids learn about really original things, but it also spawns it teaches kids how to learn, not just teaches them. For me, being able to speak to kids from other countries gives me an opportunity to learn about their culture like a much more honest perspective.
Campus is gonna be bigger, maybe twice bigger than that, and there are more boarding students and Native American students come here and share some cultures, and I think it's basically the same, but the campus is gonna be bigger and there are more people coming here.
There are some people who really don't like new stuff, like old people, like my grandfather, my grandmother. I think we should develop some new kind of technology that is similar to the way that what old people do in their life so that they can get like used to it. I think it's pretty good to have different cultures here. It's like we can know what people in other parts of the world is thinking about and what their lives are like.
What I would like to see for the indigenous people of the world who have been oppressed is for them to be recognized and to see how important their culture is. For like Native Americans in America who have lost their land, if they can have that back, not all of it, but to have some of the things they've lost back.
It's the Ross like whole idea has just like spread into this like huge school now in only like 20 years. So in 50 years it's going to be like a massive thing that's spread like even cross country, like internationally. She lives in France, and so now whenever I go to France, I'll be like, hey, and now I have a place to sleep. Like it's cool because now I have like connections all over the world. Learning about different cultures in a textbook is like so concrete, but then actually like having the culture come to you and talk to you, it's like it's a whole new.
They're actually
idea,
not much different from us.
Yeah, it's going to be even easier to connect with anyone around the world, and it's just the world's going to be a much closer place than it is today. I feel like our generation is maturing so much faster. Yeah.
From the youngest age, like kids get more mature.
But I feel like it's a good thing to like learn about like the world in a big scope at a younger age, because then you're more prepared for your entire life.
And you start to realize that your parents are a lot cooler, like as you get older.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids are embarrassed by their parents, which is like.
I love my mom.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
My mom, my dad, great.
National World Peace Day. But not Miss America. The whole world becomes like engulfed in peace, but like actual like people sat down and can debate different things like religion, race, and stereotypes that come with these things, and then talk about it and reach some sort of understanding.
Ross School of the future will probably be like much more diverse, and maybe more Ross schools throughout the world, like not just one here and in Sweden, but like one in China or in Russia or wherever.
Being really culturally diverse means learning about all cultures, not depending on how powerful they are, learning about maybe poorer cultures in South America or even in Asia, because we want to learn about other cultures, not because they're going to help us.
International part of Ross, I really like it because it just makes you more diverse, and you can have friends like from other countries and everything, and I think that's important, because if you're only stuck with one culture, then you're basically like, you don't really have sense of everybody else in the world.
And also make a better understanding of the differences of cultures and find similarities too that we have that maybe we don't know we have.
Being able to like read dreams